أحمده ونصلي على رسول الكريم أما بعد بسم الله. Today inshallah we will begin from verse number 76 of Surah Ghafir. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. فاصبر إن وعد الله حق فإما نرينك بعض الذي نعدهم أو نتوفينك فإلينا يرجعون. So be patient, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Indeed, the promise of Allah is true. And whether we show you some of what we have promised them or we take you in death, it is to us they will be returned. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam to be patient and at the same time reassures him of his promise of support and victory. Notice how wholesome the reassurance is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So either Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam will witness this victory over disbelievers in this worldly life, or if that does not happen, they will surely be punished severely in the hereafter. Indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fulfilled his promise within the life of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam and showed him through the battle of Badr the victory when leaders and notables of Quraysh were killed, and then later on also by granting Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam the conquest of Makkah. وَلَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا رُسُلًا مِّن قَبْلِكَ مِنْهُم مَّن قَصَصْنَا عَلَيْكَ وَمِنْهُم مَّن لَّمْ نَقْصُصْ عَلَيْكَ وَمَا كَانَ لِرَسُولٍ أَن يَأْتِيَ بِآيَةٍ إِلَّا بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ فَإِذَا جَاءَ أَمْرُ اللَّهِ قُضِيَ بِالْحَقِّ وَخَسِرَ هُنَالِكَ الْمُبْطِلُونَ. And we have already sent messengers before you. Among them are those whose stories we have related to you, and among them are those whose stories we have not related to you. And it was not for any messenger to bring a sign or verse except by permission of Allah. So when the command of Allah comes, it will be concluded in truth, and the falsifiers will thereupon lose all. First point to note in this verse is that we do not know about all the prophets sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Quran only mentions 25 prophets, including Dhul Kifl. But as mentioned here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not related events surrounding all of his prophets to us. And Quran is not a book of history, rather a book of guidance. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has shared what is necessary for us in his wisdom and knowledge. Next, it becomes clear that the signs and miracles of prophets were not due to their own supernatural powers. Rather, they were manifested by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَمَا كَانَ لِرَسُولٍ أَن يَأْتِيَ بِآيَةٍ إِلَّا بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ, only with the permission of Allah. And then towards the end of the verse, فَإِذَا جَاءَ أَمْرُ اللَّهِ قُضِيَ بِالْحَقِّ وَخَسِرَ هُنَالِكَ الْمُبْطِلُونَ. When punishment comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to judge between prophets and their people who denied them, the truth will prevail always, and disbelievers will always be in loss. الله الذي جعل لكم الأنعام لتركبوا منها ومنها تأكلون ولكم فيها منافع ولتبلغوا عليها حاجة في صدوركم وعليها وعلى الفلك تحملون ويريكم آياته فأي آيات الله تنكرون. It is Allah who made for you the grazing animals upon which you ride, and some of them you eat. And for you therein are other benefits, and that you may realize upon them a need which is in your breasts, and upon them and upon ships are you carried. And He shows you His signs. So which of the signs of Allah do you deny? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues to give examples of His signs in these verses from our daily life, so even a layman can grasp them without much effort. And then he poses a question: do you still deny the Lord whose signs are abundantly visible around you? So two blessings are mentioned in these verses. First one is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created cattle, which includes camels, cows, and sheep for our needs. And He also created ships. That's the second favor mentioned here. So cattle gives us shared benefits like meat and milk. And then they also have some unique advantages. Camels are used to travel over land. Cows are used for plowing the earth, and sheep produce wool for clothing and other purposes. And similarly, ships are created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a source of transportation of people and goods to distant places overseas. Let's review verses 77 to 81. Calling towards religion should be done with patience and trust upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Quran only mentions names of 25 prophets out of thousands that were sent to mankind. And prophets are able to perform miracles only through the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And finally, the two favors mentioned here are cattle and ships that are among the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. أفلم يسيروا في الأرض فينظروا كيف كان عاقبة الذين من قبلهم كانوا أكثر منهم وأشد قوة وآثارا في الأرض فما أغنى عنهم ما كانوا يكسبون. Have they not traveled through the land and observed how was the end of those before them? They were more numerous than themselves and greater in strength and impression on the land, but they were not availed by what they used to earn. Past nations of Ad, Thamud, Fir'aun, and others have been much more powerful. Some of them even built landmarks on earth that demonstrated their strength and rather astonishing capabilities that they had. As an example, we see pyramids in Egypt. So people of Fir'aun had the might and the competency to build pyramids, but they could not save themselves from drowning in the Red Sea when the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala came. And same goes for remnants of other nations. So as impressive as these sites might be, they are also a reminder of how worldly knowledge and power cannot withstand the wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فلما جاءتهم رسلهم بالبينات فرحوا بما عندهم من العلم وحاق بهم ما كانوا به يستهزئون. And when their messengers came to them with clear proofs, they merely rejoiced in what they had of knowledge, but they were enveloped by what they used to ridicule. Disbelievers used to reject clear proofs from their prophets, and they used to be more confident on the knowledge that they have. So a question arises, what knowledge is being referred to in this verse that disbelievers had? So scholars give a couple of explanations. One explanation is that this was a false sense of understanding or knowledge, which is akin to that of an ignorant person. So an ignorant person considers himself knowledgeable, but this is merely a delusion that he has. And in reality, such person has no knowledge of the subject matter. So similarly, disbelievers considered that their forefathers were on guidance, even though they were committing idol worshipping and they were associating partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this self-proclaimed knowledge that they had was a reason for rejection of clear signs from prophets. Another explanation given by scholars in this regard is these people were actually experts in trades and other worldly matters. And when prophets told them about resurrection and the hereafter, things of unseen, they denied their message based on the materialistic knowledge they had of the physical world. As it comes in Surah Rum, verse 7, يَعْلَمُونَ ظَاهِرًا مِنَ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَهُمْ عَنِ الْآخِرَةِ هُمْ غَافِلُونَ. They know what is apparent of the worldly life, but they are unaware of the hereafter. So they were judging everything based on what they knew about this world, and hence they couldn't really understand the message, which included belief in the unseen. فَلَمَّا رَأَوْا بَأْسَنَا قَالُوا آمَنَّا بِاللَّهِ وَحْدَهُ وَكَفَرْنَا بِمَا كُنَّا بِهِ مُشْرِكِينَ. And when they saw our punishment, they said, we believe in Allah alone and disbelieve in that which we used to associate with Him. So ba'sana means adabana, our punishment. فلم يك ينفعهم إيمانهم لما رأوا بأسنا سنة الله التي قد خلت في عباده وخسر هنالك الكافرون. But never did their faith benefit them once they saw our punishment. It is the established way of Allah which has preceded among His servants, and the disbelievers thereupon lost it all. This verse describes the sunnah, the practice, the established way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He will continue to accept repentance, tawbah, until the last time, until the time that the punishment becomes apparent. And similarly is the fact that there is no repentance in the hereafter or in the hellfire. As an example, Fir'aun declared faith before drowning, but it was not accepted, as it comes in Surah Yunus, verse 90, حتى إذا أدركه الغرق قال آمنت أنه لا إله إلا الذي آمنت به بنو إسرائيل وأنا من المسلمين. Until when drowning overtook him, he said, I believe that there is no deity except that in whom the children of Israel believe, and I am of the Muslims. So when he saw the punishment coming, there was no opportunity to escape the death which was right in front of him. He accepted and declared the faith, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not accept his repentance at that time. So tawbah is not accepted in the throes of death. And we know that from also in Surah Nisa, verse 18, وَلَيْسَتِ التَّوْبَةُ لِلَّذِينَ يَعْمَلُونَ السَّيِّئَاتِ حَتَّى إِذَا حَضَرَ أَحَدَهُمُ الْمَوْتُ قَالَ إِنِّي تُبْتُ الْآنَ. But repentance is not accepted of those who continue to do evil deeds up until when death comes to one of them. He says, indeed, I have repented now. And then in a narration narrated by Abdullah bin Umar anhu Tirmidhi, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, Inna Allah yaqbalu tawbat al-abdi ma lam yugharghir. Indeed, Allah accepts the repentance of a slave as long as his soul does not reach his throat, meaning the last moments of his death. So a common deception of the devil is to give false hopes. So a person may think, I will keep living in sin and just ask for forgiveness near death. This is a very dangerous and risky situation. What if this person dies a sudden death in an accident? What if he gets paralyzed or enter coma before death? What if he dies during his sleep that night? He will not get the chance of that repentance he was wishing and relying upon and continuing to be in sin throughout his life. Allahu Akbar. So the key takeaway is never delay repentance and don't fall in the trap of shaitan and procrastinate and continue in the sins that you're involved in. Allahumma habbib ilayna al-iman wa zayyinhu fi qulubina wa karrih ilayna al-kufra wal-fusuq wal-'isyan waj'alna min ar-rashidin. Allahumma tawaffana muslimin wa ahyina muslimin wa alhiqna bis-salihin غير خزايا ولا مفتونين. Ameen. Let's review verses 82 to 85. Past nations were not able to save themselves from Allah's punishment despite being more powerful. Reliance on materialistic knowledge alone can make one skeptical of the spiritual sciences. So if you judge everything based on the knowledge of this world, the physical world, you will not be able to appreciate, understand, and believe upon the hereafter, the spirituality. And repentance is neither accepted at the onset of punishment nor at the time of death. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم